Hey guys, if you haven't heard, the Weird and Digital podcast is blowing up. The most talented marketing professionals in the industry are sharing their best kept secrets to start growing your business. Check out the highlights from this week's episode on iTunes.
Something super exciting for you, and this is going to help you with all your social media. Remember, every week I film videos on marketing, branding, and business. How do we get more leads? How do we generate more sales? And how do we start and grow an online brand? So I want to talk about the power of copywriting. So copywriting is an art form where you write something that's going to grab someone's attention. So for example, myself, I'm dyslexic, but I'm able to write things in a way that grabs attention. So this 4-step framework, you've probably heard of this before, but you may not have gone into detail on how this works. I'm gonna give you some nuances, some little tactics and hacks that I use when I'm using this. And every time you're posting on social media, if you want more engagement, if you want more follows, you want more shares, this is again, the formula that I would recommend that you use. So let's head into the whiteboard, and I'm going to kind of write this formula out for you. It's called A, I, D, A. So ADA, right? So the A stands for, the first A stands for attention. So, for example, if you're on Clubhouse right now, if you want a lot of people to come to your room, then you got to have a really good title. So it's the attention, what's going to hook them in. So when I look at the attention, what I'm thinking about is the hook. So think about you're throwing a hook out there and you want to grab your ideal audience in. So that's why if you ever see my Clubhouse rooms, it's always sometimes a bit vague. It's not very specific. Like it's always things that kind of, grabs your attention. It's kind of about this, but it's not really about that. And it's a bit vague, but it's curious. It grabs your curiosity. If you're writing something on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, and of course you want to kind of type in exactly, for example, be curious. So here's one way that I use to be able to lose weight without eating this one particular food, for example. So it makes people curious. So if you want to hook people in, you can also use negative marketing as well. It's what we call the rubberneck effect. When we're driving down the highway, we can see that there's an accident. We drive past and we kind of look. So it kind of rubberneck our attention. So when we're looking at the attention, really what we're looking for here is we're actually looking for the actual, looking for the hook. So what you want to do, especially when you're writing on social media, if you're writing posts, you kind of like, especially for sales posts, if you're putting out ads, if you're putting out Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Instagram ads, like think of like, what's that first sentence? You're putting an email out there. What's the headline going to say? See, what a lot of people try and do is they try and sell everything just in a title. Like if you send out an email, how many times have you seen this? 20% off my brand new course, or 20% off. Like they're trying to sell people in the actual title itself. And although that's kind of like straight to the point, that's okay. But one of the things that you want to do is you want to hook people in with a specific curiosity, right? Curiosity always sells, right? So you want to have that and create that hook. The second thing you want to do, once you've created that hook, is, let me do a different color. You also want to get the interest, right? Get them interested. Okay, get them interested. So what's one of the best ways to get people interested? So if you're writing a hook, for example, I might say, let's say I'm doing real estate. Okay, I can say 5 ways to buy a property without using any of your own money, or what the 5 ways. So it's got curiosity in there. Curiosity is what grabs people the attention, but now it's got the interest, right? So when you're interested, right? Interesting grabs the pain, or you want to solve a pain. So what I will say when it comes to creating the interest, you want to start thinking about the problem. All right. So I'm trying to break this down in simple terms so you can understand this. So we grab the attention, and then we have the problem. So when we're doing copywriting, we also want to see what problems people have. So you might say, okay, the problem with buying a property is that you have you have to save up money, you need a mortgage, and you need to have a deposit. So this is a problem. So here's the thing. What I found that people, when you're writing copy, people are more likely to take action on pain rather than pleasure, right? So pain is what creates a stronger hook. For example, if you say, hey, how to make $1 million instead of how to stop losing money or losing $1 million, like when you had that, like the pain associated with it. If I said the word fish to you, right? Scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel? You might feel, 2 or 3. If I say the word shark to you, how do you think, like a scale of 1 to 10, how does it make you feel? So each word also has a weight. So when we're putting in this formula, we're going to think about the words that we're using as well when it comes to copywriting. All right. So the problem associated with that, that's why negative news always sells, because it's got more weight to it. All right. So we want to have them, what are they interested in? Like what's the problem that your ideal client is facing? All right. And after that, I'm going to go to the D for desire, right? Or so some people do desire / decision, right? Sorry, I can't spell today. Decision, okay? So once we got their attention, once they're interested, how do we build that desire? How do we build that decision for making them want to take action? Because the whole point of you putting a post on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, like when you're structuring your copy in these 4 frameworks, what you'll find is by having the decision and desire is really the solution, right? The solution. And so what I like to do is, and you can do this in a number of ways. You can say, hey, whatever problem you've been listed before, like, hey, you need a mortgage or deposit to buy a property. But what I found is that there's a strategy called recycle, right? Recycling your deposit. I've been using recycling to take money from one property to another property. So really the desire and the decision is all about the solution, right? So when you're putting the solution there, all right, the solution is what you're offering. I know this seems really obvious, and I know a lot of you watching this probably already know this, but you're not doing it. And this is why part of this training every week is to also hold you accountable, to remind you of some of the things that you know or don't know, and to remind you of some of the things that you are maybe consciously or unconsciously thinking about when you're doing things. So we always want to add the solution there. So the attention, interested, which is the problem, the desired decision and the solution, but also to make sure that when you're offering the solution, you want to have some kind of case study. You might want to have some kind of story, which also works really well because stories sell and facts tell. Stories sell and facts tell. So you want to have a story in there that helps people. So I might say something like, okay, so now the solution for that, if you don't have a mortgage or deposit, I've actually found a way, instead of using ownership, you want to use control. So there's actually a strategy called lease options that allows me to lease a property. I have the right to buy, but not the obligation to buy. And this is really, really great because now it means I can now acquire and control more properties. So now I'm using it as a story, you see, but I'm not just saying I'm going to be typing it out. So when you're putting things onto social media, on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, when you're writing your copy, right? Copywriting is what sells, whether you're selling a product, whether you're selling a like, whether you're selling a share, whether you're selling, a product or a service, whether you're selling your coaching, whatever it is that you're offering, by using the AIDA formula or the hook, problem, and solution, we come to the last part of this, which is the A for, let me do this in a different color. The A for action. Okay, so similar to our educate model that you've been through in gel.club, think of the action. So when we look at the action, what we're looking for is a CTA. All right, CTA stands for call to action. That means every time you're putting a video, every time you're putting a post on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, or you're writing an email, you got to have some kind of call to action, right? Like, for example, you'll hear me say, hey, at the end of this video, if you found this useful and you know somebody who's starting a business, growing a business, tell them about JL.club, right? So I say that, but what I'm doing is I'm putting a benefit, but also to educate that person, the type of person to refer this to. So, if I'm coming to the call to action here, right? The CTA. So let's say this is, again, real estate again. I'll say something like, so if you know somebody who is looking to get into property and they're based in the UK, but they're struggling to get on the property ladder, then around this video, there's going to be a link. Click that link, get yourself registered, and I'll see you on the other side. So the call to action has got to be something with specificity in there, right? Specificity, like who is it? And remember, it comes to the first question. Remember, there's a trainingandjail.club talking about there's 3 questions you got to ask. If you're spending money on marketing and it's not converting into sales, you have those 3 questions. Remember, who's the ideal client? That's the first thing. By putting the ideal client in the call to action part, what starts to happen, it starts to attract your ideal client and the people that and the people that you want. So I've used this formula for years and years and years. You can do it when you're speaking to people as well. You can grab their attention. Hey, listen, I got something really important I'm going to talk to you about. It's curious, right? So people go, oh, like, what is it? So you'll always get someone's attention when you say, look, I got something urgent to talk to you about, but you don't actually tell them what it is. But sometimes when you tell people what it is, like that curiosity is gone. People will just show up for the curiosity. All right. So I just want to put that out there. And I want you to use this formula, this AIDA formula, and really start focusing on that. If you put that into all your marketing, into your emails, into your Facebook posts, into your Instagram posts, when you do Instagram stories, when you are doing Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives, you can actually drag that whole thing out as well. So this is a really unique way to do copywriting that sells your product, your service, your point of view, your call to action, your free webinar, your free classes, whatever that you're focusing on right now. It's super, super powerful. And it's worked for me, and I want to share this with you. So
if you haven't checked out Reardon's digital podcast yet, you're missing out. We are interviewing top marketing professionals from all over the country, and they're sharing their best kept secrets. Check out highlights from this week's episode on iTunes.